98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR and GorgeRadio.com presents the Mid-Columbia Today Show with Mark Bailey. Special thanks to our sponsors, Skyline Hospital, Eastside Paving, and Del Carpine Automotive. Now, here's Mark Bailey.
Good morning. It is 8:05, another day in Mid-Columbia Today. Either you're listening live on the radio or you are listening a bit later on our podcast. We got a pretty good show for you this morning, we think. First part of the program, Bill Stenson from Radio Amateurs of the Gorge is scheduled to be our guest. They have got their field day coming up. It's going to take place this weekend out at Rockford Grange area, Westside Fire district, Rockford Grange location. And they do this every year, and you can go out and check out what they do. They are a very important part of emergency preparedness in this area. So we'll talk about that with Bill coming up here in a few minutes. Then, second half of the show, Ian Chandler is going to join us, area cherry orchardist, Oregon Sweet Cherry Commission chair. And we'll talk about the cherry harvest. I've heard differing views on this, how things are going to go for cherries. And I decided I want to have somebody who has their pulse or finger on the pulse of all this. And Ian certainly does. So we'll talk to Ian Chandler about how cherry harvest is going and what some of the repercussions may be of this year's market conditions. So all that's coming up, but first, as we always do, let's tell you about what this day has meant and what it means, at least to some people. 1888, abolitionist Frederick Douglass received one vote from the Kentucky delegation at the Republican Convention in Chicago, making him the first black candidate to have his name placed in nomination for president. 1931, aviators Wiley Post and Harold Gatty took off from Roosevelt Field in New York on the around-the-world flight that lasted 8 days and 15 hours. 1947, the Senate joined the House in overriding President Harry Truman's veto of the Taft-Hartley Act, designed to limit the power of organized labor. 1969, Warren Burger sworn in as Chief Justice of the U.S. by his predecessor, Earl Warren. This day in 1972, President Richard Nixon signed the law, the Education Amendments of 1972, including Title IX, which barred discrimination on the basis of sex for any education program or activity receiving federal financial assistance. 1985, all 329 people on board an Air India Boeing 747 were killed when it crashed in the Atlantic Ocean near Ireland after a bomb planted by Sikh separatists exploded on board. 1992, mob boss John Gotti was sentenced to life after being found guilty of murder, racketeering, and other charges. He would die in prison in 2002. 2016, this actually now been 10 years. Britain voted to leave the European Union after a bitterly divisive referendum campaign, toppling Prime Minister David Cameron, who led the drive to remain in the bloc. 2020, the Louisville Police Department fired an officer involved in the fatal shooting of Breonna Taylor more than 3 months earlier, saying Brett Hankinson showed extreme indifference to the value of human life when he fired 10 rounds into her apartment. And in 2022, in a major expansion of gun rights, the Supreme Court said Americans have a right to carry firearms in public for self-defense. Our days for today is United Nations Public Service Day. It's Let It Go Day today. You know, things that are bugging you. Some of them you just need to let them go. It's National Hydration Day today, which on a hot day seems very appropriate if you're out doing anything physical. Be sure you stay hydrated. And hydration, by the way, does not mean go have a, your favorite alcoholic absolution. That won't work. That goes the other direction. We're talking, water usually is still the best hydrator. It's Runner's Selfie Day for some reason. Runners, you're supposed to take a selfie of yourself, apparently running. I'm not sure how well that will work, but again, we just report these things. It is Pink Flamingo Day, as in those plastic pink flamingos people put out in their yard. Apparently, this day in 1957 they came out. Still around. It's also Typewriter Day today, for those of you who might remember them, like I do. I remember working here, and I had a typewriter. That's how I wrote things. Cameron is starting to laugh. But that's what we did. And sometimes you had to rip the paper out and crunch it up and throw it in the wastebasket because you messed up so badly. Which, by the way, was very therapeutic, I'm going to add. You can't do that with your computer monitor. It costs way too much.
I have actually used a typewriter before.
Okay, well, good. It's
my
not much
grandpa
different.
had one of those hidden away somewhere in his house, and I remember, not to make you feel old, but
I'm already there. Go ahead.
He had one of those, and I just remembered.
Well,
using one of those.
Now, okay, was it an electric typewriter or a manual?
I didn't know there was a difference.
There is a difference. Yes, the electric typewriter would reach the end of the line, and where you had the tab set and return on its own, things like that. Manual typewriters, you had to hit the end of the line, zing.
Oh, then I guess it was a manual.
Oh, okay. So you did have to push it and move it forward.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just okay then. All right. You went way back then. That was a very old typewriter. Probably worth a lot now.
Yeah,
we have
maybe.
a couple electric typewriters down in the basement still.
Really?
Yes, we do. I saw them down there. Anyway, two more things. We've got our food to mention here. Then we'll get rolling to our guests. It's National Pecan Sandies Day today. Not a bad cookie. That sounds okay. And it's National Detroit-style pizza day today. Now, apparently Detroit-style pizza came with it's rectangular, and made, apparently traditionally, in the type of pan that a car factory would use to hold nuts and bolts. That's apparently where this first pizzeria in Detroit that made this kind of pizza did. Was they took the pans from a auto manufacturer and put dough in it and made a pizza and stuck it in. It worked. It flew. There it is for what it's worth. May not be a whole lot. 8:11 in the morning. We'll come back and we'll talk Radio Amateurs of the Gorge. At least we plan to right after this.
Hello, this is Hood River City Council President Gladys Rivera. Thank you to everyone who participated in the city's recent community survey. Your feedback is helping guide important conversations about housing and public safety in Hood River. Now, we invite you to join us in person. Attend our Housing Town Hall on Tuesday, June 23rd from 6 to 7:30 p.m. at City Hall to learn more about housing needs and possible solutions. Then visit our police station open house on Monday, June 29th from 5 to 7 p.m. Learn more at hoodriver.gov/bond.
At Neil Creek Portable Sanitation, we offer upscale luxury restrooms for any event because your guests deserve the best. We offer clean portable toilets for events of all sizes, plus same-day cleaning services for customer-owned units. Proudly serving our local farmers. We offer honest septic pumping and maintenance with no hidden fees. Locally owned, reliable, and committed to excellence. Visit our website at neilcreekps.com.
Eastside Paving has a local team of professional paving experts ready to handle any size job for you. Eastside Paving's 35 years of experience provides the knowledge, procedures, and resources to ensure the job is done correct. Licensed, bonded, and insured in Oregon and Washington, Eastside Paving specializes in industrial, commercial, and residential jobs. Whether it's overlay, parking lots, private roads, patching, or driveway resurfacing, Eastside Paving has you covered. Call Rick Saran today for a free estimate. 503-519-6478. EastsidePaving.com. CCB 68962.
Hello, this is Dr. Stanley of Cascade Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Knee sprains are common this time of year. A common sprain of the knee should resolve in 6 to 8 weeks. If you have symptoms longer than 8 weeks, or if you have symptoms of instability, repeat swelling, or catching, something worse is likely to be the culprit. Protect your active lifestyle and come in and have it evaluated. Visit cosmc.org or call 541-296-2294. Cascade Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, where our goal is getting you back to being you.
Mid-Columbia Today is a public affairs program of Bicoastal Media Columbia River, 98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR and GorgeRadio.com. Now, back to Mark Bailey.
And it is now 8:14 in the morning. We're happy to have with us now on the telephone from Radio Amateurs of the Gorge, Bill Stenson joins us. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Mark.
Well, thank you for coming on our show. We appreciate it. And we're going to start off with a very basic question here, and that is... Radio Amateurs of the Gorge, tell us about what your group is and what you do.
Sure. By the way, thanks for having us and giving us a chance to talk about that. Radio Amateurs of the Gorge was formed, I don't know, back in the 60s, late 60s. We provide communications in times of emergency. We support charitable events with radio communications. We offer workshops in amateur radio. We are actually a special service club designated by the ARRL. That's the Amateur Radio Relay League, the national organization of radio amateurs in the United States. So, it's funny when you ask, what do we do? We meet, we talk, we spend a lot of time on the air, but we do a lot of public service events. And speaking of which, we have a major event coming up this weekend, something that is called Field Day. This began back in, 1933 or something like that. And the idea of Field Day is that amateur radio is a national resource. Back when communications was not what it is today, and the purpose was to establish off-grid, the ability to relay emergency messages, and that practice continues to today. And so this event that's coming up on Saturday, we will set up temporary off-grid communication stations. This Saturday it will be at the training ground behind Westside Fire on Barrett Road. The public is absolutely welcome, and in fact, this is a chance for the public to get on the air and see radio live and in action. We have what are called GOTA, G-O-T-A, GOTA stations. This is where unlicensed visitors can make live radio contacts under the guidance of an experienced operator. So we never know who we're going to get. You might get somebody in Portland. You might get somebody in British Columbia. You might be talking to somebody in Japan. And it's just a phenomenal hobby and a phenomenal public service that we offer the public.
Talk a little bit about the equipment. I know in some cases, amateurs actually build their own equipment. Some cases, they purchase it commercially. But about the equipment you use, it's frankly not that much different, maybe just on a smaller scale, than what we use in broadcasting our signals.
Absolutely true. You reminded me of something. The equipment is readily available. The entry level could be as little as $150, and that's going to give you local, regional, national, even worldwide coverage if you know what you're doing. And we offer training in that, by the way. You reminded me of a story. When I got into amateur radio, I was a kid. I was all of 12. There's nothing as dangerous as, having unlimited belief in yourself and limited experience. So I built my first radio when I was 12, and it didn't pass the smoke test on the kitchen table. Plugged it in, and that was it. Now, today, you can buy anything to suit your needs. And it doesn't have to be amateur radio, by the way. It could be GMRS, FRS. Just the other day, on June 11th, I gave a presentation at the Rockford Grange. The title of that presentation was Staying Connected When It Matters Most. And this is communications preparedness for families, neighborhoods, and communities. And So the equipment that you were just talking about, it's very similar to what you use at the station, but I think you guys are running 1,000 watts. Is that
That's
correct?
one of our stations. Remember, we have 9 of them, so we have varied wattages and frequencies.
Wow. Hey, can you come to the event on Saturday? I'm putting you on the spot.
Unfortunately, I'm unavailable. I have a family obligation, but I encourage people to go because it is interesting to go and look at some of this equipment because, I mean, you mentioned, you're able to transmit in some cases halfway around the world or all the way around the world. This gets into, of course, I don't want to get too technical for everybody, but into the frequencies on the spectrum you use are certainly different than what people hear when they flip their radio onto a commercial band.
Yeah, but again, the principles remain the same.
Yeah.
The point that I would like to people to understand is the value of radio. Yeah. Let me tell you a very quick story. In 2011, I was in Tokyo. I've been over there for years, working there, and that was the day of the Tohoku quake. It was in the early afternoon. We were getting ready for tea break, and the earthquake hit. Well, we're sitting at our desks. It's shaking, and we've been through hundreds of quakes, thousands, but it didn't stop. It got worse, stronger. Dust is falling from the ceiling. A light bulb broke. We ducked under the desks. 3 minutes later, when the quake stopped, we evacuated, and I grabbed a small handheld amateur radio that I keep at my desk. Later that day, people were walking home by the millions. Trains were out. Communications was absolutely dead. Yet, with that radio, I was able to contact someone, a ham radio operator, outside of the disaster zone, and that person took the information and telephoned my wife in the United States 15 minutes later and said, your husband's alive, he's fine.
Yeah, I mean,
so the value of this, I cannot stress. People have flashlights, they have food, they have water, they have everything, but do they have a communications plan? And do they have a tool such as radio to stay in touch? So that's what we're offering. Yeah.
And this is where in part people see this at the field day event if they go out there, is that your group is a part of the community of the preparedness for emergencies in this region, because if we lose, say in a Cascadia earthquake type event, lose cell towers, etc., that people now are very reliant on, it seems, you're able to set up, be very portable in doing so, and be able to relay messages from what your example is all the way to important emergency messages for on a community-wide basis, to be able to get people needed information and to help try to keep people at least safe and help people get to safety.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. That's our job, and we will be able to contact the OEM, the Office of Emergency Management in Salem, and establish a connection. By the way, interesting, do you know what the motto of amateur radio is? Very interesting. The motto is, when all else fails. And you will see this again and again in every major disaster, whether it's Sandy, Katrina, tornadoes, fire, flood, whatever. When communications goes down, amateur radio does not. And so we really hope, we've got 750,000 amateurs in the United States, 3 million worldwide, and they perform a community service and provide a communications backbone that I can't think of anything comparable. It's kind of like we're taking a step backward. Everybody's going, hey, I've got the iPhone, version 44 and the latest software and all of this. Well, that's all fine and good until it's not. And when it's not, when the what do we say? When the fit hits the shan, is that the? I can say that on the air.
You
right?
can say that. Yes, correct.
Okay. When that happens, we are there, and there is a dedicated corps of radio operators here in the Gorge, highly talented, and we can connect our county to Salem and get status reports out. We're also trying to build what are called CERT teams, CERT, Community Emergency Response Teams. And this is neighbors taking care of neighbors and relaying information to the local firehouses. And then we have our equipment in every firehouse in the valley here. And from there, we can funnel that information to the EOC, the Emergency Operations Center on 601 State Street, assuming that the building doesn't collapse. And if it does, we're prepared. By the way, that's a really interesting point. You need a communications plan, and you need a plan for when that plan fails, because it will fail.
So, again, the field day is going to be this weekend. I think it goes on pretty much all day Saturday, doesn't it?
That's right. We will start at 11 a.m. Oh, and by the way, we have a special draw for this coming field day. The fire chief, Doug Kelly, and the training administrator, Matt Adams, they have agreed to bring out a fire engine for the kids to climb on, and for families and kids to use the hose to hit a water target. So this is not just for kids. This is for adults too, and that's from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But the event runs 24 hours. We don't expect people showing up at 11 p.m. But if you do, we're there and we're operating. So we really hope that people throughout the gorge will show up. You can see amateur radio in action. You can get on the air. Love to have you. It's cool. That's all I can say.
I've only got about a minute and a half here left, but I would be interested to know, what's the farthest that you maybe have conversed with somebody in your transmissions?
I have talked to people all over the world. Quick anecdote. One day I'm on the air, I was talking to a doctor in Zimbabwe, and at the same time we were joined by a fellow on an oil rig in Indonesia. Well, anyway, the woman in Zimbabwe, she had a dog, and the dog started barking, and the fellow in Indonesia on the rig, he had a dog, and so these two dogs are barking at each other over 8,000 miles. I don't think I've ever... So, but the point is, you can talk to, with the right equipment and training, you've got worldwide capability. You also have local capability. We'll help you. RAGS is, you'll see the posters around Hood River starting today and in the run-up to this event. So we hope people will show up.
Again, that will be the Radio Amateurs of the Gorge Field Day. It is coming up this weekend. Saturday is a big part of it. It will be at the outside the Rockford Grange, outside the Westside Fire District station there in that location. I think most people in the area kind of know where it is. If you don't, you can put into your the search engine of your choice, and you can get out to the Rockford Grange. It will be very interesting if you get on out there. You can get a look at what radio is like. And again, the work, especially the emergency work that you guys are able to do in a time of stress, it's been documented, of course, in many locations. The importance that the ham radio operators take on when there is a major disaster. They play a big role in getting communications up and running and continuing. Bill, thanks for taking the time this morning. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for being with us. It is 8:30 in the morning. The news is coming up next.
Coffee for Mid-Columbia Today guests is provided by Hood River Coffee Roasters, the Gorge's local coffee roasters, on Tucker Road on the Heights in Hood River.
8:32 in the morning, quick check of news. The City of White Salmon is going to perform a water system tie-in tomorrow as part of its transmission main replacement projects, and will be asking municipal water system customers to significantly reduce use while it takes place. White Salmon officials are asking residents to avoid lawn and landscape irrigation, washing vehicles, filling pools, hot tubs or water features, power washing, and any other non-essential water use tomorrow between 8 in the morning and 6 in the evening. Officials say remaining adequate subsystem pressure is critical during the work. Excessive water use could contribute to low pressure conditions in portions of the distribution system. If system pressure falls below state regulatory requirements, the city may be required to issue a boil water advisory until water quality testing confirms the system remains safe for consumption. Those with questions can contact White Salmon City Hall at 509-493-1133. Hood River City Council voting to approve a change in zoning from industrial to general commercial for a third of an acre property on 1225 Wasco Street in conjunction with a residential development of 11 2- to 3-bedroom townhouses. The property used to be home to windsurf company Northwave, but Capsule Development sought the zone change, agreeing to conditions including the property maintaining the 11-unit residential density and that it won't include commercial uses that might negatively impact the neighborhood. Some nearby residents objected to the change for a variety of reasons, including view concerns, traffic, and the high density involved. The council voted 6-1 in favor of the move, Grant Polson opposing. A truck driver was injured in a one-vehicle accident Monday morning on Highway 14 near Wishram. The Washington State Patrol reports the truck and trailer was eastbound on Highway 14 near milepost 93 at around 7:30 Monday morning when the driver lost control on the curve. The truck rolled and came to rest on its side on top of the guardrail, blocking the eastbound lane. The driver, a 61-year-old Waterville, Washington man, transported to Adventist Health Columbia Gorge in the Dalles for what the WSP said was precautionary reasons. The WSP added the driver was being cited for driving as a speed too fast for conditions. Currently 69 degrees in Stevenson, 68 in the Dalles, 69 in Hood River. And we will continue. We got a World Cup update coming up next. And Ian Chandler will talk cherries with us in a few minutes as Mid-Columbia Today rolls along.
Hey, it's Zach from Del Carpino Automotive, where we specialize in keeping European rides happy. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, and even those tall Sprinter vans that look like hotels on wheels. We know them inside and out. And if you're wondering where we went, we didn't go far. We're just now 5 minutes from our old shop in our brand new location in the Upper Hood River. Same trusted crew, more space, and the same honest, family-owned service. Come see us at Del Carpino Automotive. European expertise and Columbia Gorge roots.
When duty calls, we answer. From porta potties, RVs to septic tanks, Bishop Sanitation keeps the Columbia Gorge clean and fresh. Fast, friendly, and not afraid to get our hands dirty. So remember, it's potty time. Learn more at bishopsanitation.com and let us do the dirty work for you.
Want to stay in shape, be involved in a sport you love, and earn money in the process? Become an athletic official. There's a shortage of officials in Oregon, and we need you now more than ever. Visit osaa.org/officials for more information and to get registered.
Mid-Columbia Today is a public affairs program of Bicoastal Media Columbia River, 98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR and GorgeRadio.com. Now, back to Mark Bailey.
And we are happy to have with us area orchardist and chair of the Oregon Sweet Cherry Commission, Ian Chandler, joins us this morning. Good morning, Ian.
Good morning. How are you?
All right. How are you doing today?
Another day of cherry harvest. Living the dream.
Living the dream. Well, that's why I wanted to have you on. I really thank you because I know you're very busy, and like all the orchardists are at this time, they're involved in cherries. But you know, I've heard varying opinions on the cherry harvest this year, so I really wanted to talk to somebody who is living the dream, as you said. For the Columbia Gorge region, what does the cherry harvest look like?
Well, we've had a very interesting year. Market conditions, I would say, are stabilizing right now. We started out with really good pricing. Then we kind of got a glut between us and Washington where there was more fruit than they had sales, so the prices kind of went down for a bit, but now we're hitting the other side of that, and there less and less fruit every day coming onto the market, so the market's kind of starting to rebound a little bit.
Yeah, I always heard, the 4th of July window, which is kind of what we're getting into now, was always critical for this area. It sounds like maybe we're hitting it?
Yes, we're getting some good momentum going into the 4th. It's 250th anniversary, and the stores are promoting cherries for us, so we appreciate that. And we've grown some really good quality fruit this year, so we hope that the American public will enjoy the fruits of our labor.
As far as weather was concerned, it was definitely a unique weather year for the cherries this year with the winter conditions, and then what it was like, frankly, in the springtime with maybe not as much precipitation as we'd like. How did fruit quality get affected by our different weather year?
So it has been a pretty abnormal year in the sense that we didn't really have much of a winter, and then harvest started earlier, I would say about 10 days earlier than the previous year. That caused some issues in terms of getting our labor force that comes up to help us from California because kids were still in school. So we kind of had a delay in some folks coming up. But for the most part, we were able to get enough people to get the fruit off. We also had some pretty crazy wind and rainstorms. We're dealing with a little bit of the rain damage from the very last rain we had around, I think, the 10th or 11th. I can't remember the exact date. But prior to that, we had some pretty abnormal wind and rain events that damaged the fruit a little bit, but for the most part, we made it through unscathed. And now we're just dealing with the heat with our workforce, and we also had our first, I don't know, that was a week ago or so, our first wildfire smoke day where we had to have masks ready in case our employees needed them. But every day is a different challenge, and we're just working our way through the best we can.
I'd say you touched on labor there. How has labor supply been for you?
We're doing good this year, and there's a couple different factors that are helping that. People from California are wanting to earn money, so and they need to earn money, so they're coming up here to help us out. The last few days, there has been some ICE activity in terms of immigration enforcement here in the Mid-Columbia that's kind of got some people on edge, but for the most part, people are feeling more confident about being able to go about their daily lives as compared to a year ago at this time. So I would say on the labor front, we're doing well this year, and we're very thankful that the folks have come up from California as well as our local workforce that's helping us out.
Did I note that in California that they had weather issues there that hurt the crop?
Yeah, they had some pretty torrential rains right at an incredibly bad time. So they lost probably upwards of 50% of their total crop. Wow. What that means is a loss for the farmer. It also means a loss for the farm workers who would normally harvest that crop if it hits a threshold where it can't be harvested. Mm-hmm. So that has helped our labor situation in the sense that people came up wanting and needing to earn money because they were not able to earn it earlier down in California. So it's just one of those things where one person's disaster could be a beneficial situation for someone else.
And I also see we're in Washington. I think here I'm thinking more along the lines of north of here, Yakima Valley, that they had some frost issues that hurt them as well.
They did have some frost issues, and that is what really helped us with pricing early on in the season. We had a situation where there was not a lot of fruit at the very beginning, and what that did for us is got some pretty high pricing. But then once they got into their more productive blocks, things started to normalize, and then we started to kind of hit a glut.
Mm-hmm. With all that, you were, of course, on the show with Leslie Tamura here a few weeks ago, and I'll probably bring you guys back here at some point when things get a little lighter for you guys. But, the cost of production has become such an issue. You went through what seems to be a lot of positives right now, at least. Are the prices enough, though, for growers to be able to make a profit on this, given how much the input costs have become?
So that's the big question. We're dealing with considerably higher prices of fuel, prices of agricultural chemicals, fertilizer, and then our labor costs continue to always rise as they always do. So we are always a little bit behind in terms of, okay, this looks like a good price for a pound of cherries, but then when you put that up against what your input costs have risen year to year, it doesn't always work out as good. We're hopeful that this year we've found a solid pricing floor, and we're hopeful that we've got good production here in the Mid-Columbia, and that's going to help pull us forward to make up for some of those increased input costs.
I say, when, as an orchardist, do you have an idea of when a year has been good? Because there's so many factors we just went through. I talked about the 4th of July window. When do you necessarily, as an orchardist, know when you've had a successful crop?
So that's the big question. Things used to be more transparent, it seemed. In the last few years, there's with consolidation, both at the retail level and on the packing side, it seems harder and harder to get the information of where the market is on a day-to-day basis. And as a result, sometimes we think we're doing better or worse than we actually are. And there are some pretty big pushes from the grower side to try to get some more transparency in terms of having an idea of where the market's at, and then also to continue to make the argument to the retailers that we have to make enough money to survive, or this whole thing at some point will hit the wall and there will be no more fresh cherries. So it's really the consolidation at the retailer level has made things tough because the big buyers can really put downward pressure on the pricing. And as a farmer, we're a price taker, and there's not a lot we can do to really change that.
One thing I did see, and actually this was after I had emailed you to invite you on the show today, that I know you're involved in this, Columbia Gorge Fruit Growers involved in this, but looking at what could be the benefits of, and also maybe the negatives, of a USDA marketing order for cherries. I guess, first of all, when we say marketing order, what am I talking about here?
Well, what you're talking about more is that as an industry, we set certain quality standards, and it also flows into then crop insurance. There's differences between us and Washington, and we're trying to level the playing field between Oregon and Washington in terms of how well the crop insurance programs can work for Oregon. Also, quality standards are important to try to get something written down that holds the packing organizations accountable to some standards, that we have a non-moving target. Because what happens sometimes is like the fruit looks clean, but the market conditions mean that whatever the established quality standards are, they kind of go out the window, and the market rules, and you just got to follow that. So we're trying to solidify some stuff to bring stability to our industry and hopefully force some of that transparency so that everybody knows where they're at sooner, and we can have some more predictability as opposed to the roller coaster that we've been on the last few seasons.
And from what I understand, it also could help with some crop insurance issues.
Correct. There are things we can do in there to make crop insurance work better for Oregon farmers, and some of that has to do with how small fruit that's left on the trees, because it's unharvestable, how that is counted for or against you. In Washington, a 12-row, which is a very small cherry, is not considered for insurance purposes. If you don't pick it, it doesn't count against you. Whereas here in Oregon, if you leave it on the tree, they subtract that away from your insurance settlement because they consider that a piece of fruit that should have been harvested.
Even though there's no market for it.
Correct. So that's what those are some of the things we're trying to get the level the playing field between the state of Washington and the state of Oregon, so that we're all in the same system and we're not being penalized for something like that, where there is no chance of selling it, but it still counts against us.
Is this similar? I mean, I remember a number of years ago, and this has been a while now, the pear growers they got together and did something that allowed more stability in pricing, at least at the time. I don't recall what it was named. I remember talking with former Hood River County Commission Chair and orchardist Ron Rivers about it. And then a year later, I asked him, so what's the prices like? And he just smiled at me. He said, I can't tell you, because they kept it under wraps. But is this kind of a similar deal to try to keep the prices more stable?
Well, I think what we can do to try to stabilize the price is to try to formalize some of the quality standards, so that, because what happens to us on the market is if you get a high price, what that normally means is a bunch of junk cherries will flow onto the market, because they'll basically take anything because there's a short supply, right? But that doesn't do anything for the rest of the season. So the high beginning of the season, you can spike up to some pretty high prices, and then as soon as some of the quote-unquote not great cherries hit the consumers, then it kind of kills the market. So if we can put some standards in there to help moderate and make sure that this deal works well for all growers from the beginning of the season all the way to the end, that's the important thing. We're really looking for the stability.
And we should know that on this marketing order subject I brought up, this really is right now being discussed at a local committee level, isn't it? There's a lot of steps you have to go through to make this happen.
Absolutely. With Columbia Gorge Fruit Growers, what we're trying to do at the committee there is just do a deep dive to see if even something that our industry wants or needs to pursue. So we're going to do a pros and cons and really do an analysis of, okay, is this actually going to be helpful, or is this just going to be a long process that really does not bear any fruit for our industry before we get into the next stages where you actually start doing the formal appeal for support within the industry. So this right now is just a exploratory committee to try to see if this is something that's worth our time.
From what I understood, it takes at least 2 years to go through this process if it is worth the time.
Correct. It's not a quick process. Just like anything that goes through government channels, has to go through many different steps of bureaucracy. One of the reasons why Columbia Gorge Fruit Growers decided to take up the exploratory committee for our industry is because they are able to be more nimble in terms of the decision-making process, as opposed to if we would have done it through the Oregon Sweet Cherry Commission, which then we would have to work it through the Oregon Department of Agriculture, which adds more levels and layers of different hoops we have to jump through. So we really appreciate the support of Columbia Gorge Fruit Growers and taking this on and helping us investigate if this is something that we want to pursue.
And I guess we should know, Washington apparently already has this, and I take it it's worked well for them?
Yes, we're going to try to mirror their market order as much as possible, but also leave ourselves, hopefully, the freedom to make it work in the best possible way for Oregon cherry growers. So we don't want to be something that makes it hard, because a lot of the Oregon cherries are actually packed in Washington packing houses. We don't want to make it so that it's too hard to pack Oregon cherries, but we also want to take advantage of whatever advantages we can as Oregon farmers that can help our industry survive.
Ian Chandler, area orchardist, Oregon Sweet Cherry Commission chair, with us as the cherry harvest continues. Ian, thanks for the insights on it, and we can, of course, encourage people to buy some cherries here. The fresh cherries are out there, and they can help support the area orchard industry by simply buying some and enjoying them.
Absolutely, and thank you for having us on, and we want to just thank the community for their patience as we have the influx of workers in the area here, and we clog up traffic a little bit, but we appreciate your patience in allowing us to conduct our business.
Ian, thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy. Appreciate you coming on. We'll talk to you later.
All right, have a good one. Thank you.
Have a good one. Ian
Bye-bye.
Chandler, Oregon Sweet Cherry Commission chair, and again, local cherry orchardist in the region. 8:53 in the morning. We'll come back and wrap it up after this.
Want a great floor without the hassle? Affordable Floors and Abbey Carpets has been flooring the Gorge since 1992. At Affordable Floors, we offer a 60-day customer satisfaction guarantee on all Abbey products, free in-home estimates, expert design help, and professional installation to get the job done right. Visit us online or stop by Affordable Floors and Abbey Carpets today and let Larry, Morgan, or Shelby walk you through the newest designs from carpet, hardwood, laminate, and ceramic tile. Visit us at our showroom at 1512 Osprey Drive in Hood River.
Eastside Paving has a local team of professional paving experts ready to handle any size job for you. Eastside Paving's 35 years of experience provides the knowledge, procedures, and resources to ensure the job is done correct. Licensed, bonded, and insured in Oregon and Washington, Eastside Paving specializes in industrial, commercial, and residential jobs. Whether it's overlay, parking lots, private roads, patching, or driveway resurfacing, Eastside Paving has you covered. Call Rick Saran today for a free estimate. 503-519-6478. EastsidePaving.com. CCB 68962.
Did you know Skyline Health in White Salmon has its very own sports medicine doc superstar? That's right, Dr. Ryan Petering trained at OHSU, cared for professional Nike athletes, and even spent more than 15 years teaching other doctors how it's done. From sporting injuries to arthritis, he's here to help you move better, feel stronger, and keep doing the things you love. Want to live life to its fullest? Step right up and visit myskylinehealth.org. Skyline Health, world-class care right here at home.
Oaks Amusement Park, Oregon's historic place for family fun, is in full summer mode.
From heart-pounding rides and classic carnival games to skating, snacks, and sunshine by the river, Oaks Park is where summer memories are made. Bring the kids, bring your friends, bring your sense of adventure with thrills that Oregonians have loved for generations.
Summer doesn't start until you've been to Oaks Park.
Plan your day now at oakspark.com, where fun never ends.
Bring friendly friends, the fun never ends. Oaks Amusement Park.
Tune in weekday mornings at 8:05 and keep up with community events and issues with the Mid-Columbia Today Show on Mid-Columbia's news leaders, 98.3 FM and 1340 AM KIHR. Special thanks to our sponsors, Skyline Hospital, Eastside Paving, and Del Carpine Automotive.
Mid-Columbia Today and the rest of the week. Tomorrow, Al Barton is scheduled to be with us, Mid-Columbia Center for Living. We're going to talk about an Oregon Health Authority grant we understand they've gotten. Scott Hagee, Wasco County Commission Chairman, shut through a meeting last week. A Wasco County Commission meeting. Right now he's on the Mid-Columbia Center for Living board, and they apparently have gotten or are getting an OHA grant for a substance abuse treatment facility, about $11 million. And so Al, I think, will be on the show tomorrow, been arranging it through his wonderful executive assistant, Benita Snyder, who talked to yesterday and got it onto his calendar. So he'll be here tomorrow. Also, Julie Hester, the new Executive Director of Washington Gorge Action Programs, and the Food Bank Manager, Janelle Boreen, is going to join us. And we're going to talk about, they've got a big event coming up in August, a big fundraiser they've been doing now for a while, the Food for All fundraiser. And we will talk about what they've got planned. Thursday, Genevieve Scholl from the Port of Cascade Locks is going to be with us. And we are going to talk to her about, we've talked Hood River 4th of July. We've talked White Salmon 4th of July. We'll talk now Cascade Locks 4th of July. They've got some events planned on July 4th, which is not that far away now. And so we'll talk to her first. Second half of the show, we will talk, we're supposed to talk Columbia Gorge Community College. And then Friday, Master Gardeners, Central Gorge Master Gardener time again. So we'll have them on the show on Friday. So that's what we've got planned for you. It should be a good rest of the week on the show. I always say the best shows I do are the ones that I don't talk very much. And today I didn't talk much. Thanks to our guest, Bill Stenson, Radio Amateurs of the Gorge. If you got a chance to go and check this out, by the way, the Rockford Grange area on Saturday in particular for their field days, check it out. And it is fascinating. And they're a very important part of emergency preparedness in this area. They really are. And then thanks to Ian Chandler for taking the time during a harvest to talk to us about cherries. Because I know it's never an easy time for the orchardist to get away to do anything else during harvest time but harvest. So thanks to Ian for taking a few minutes out there and give us an idea what's going on with that harvest. It's much more optimistic than I was hearing from some people earlier. But then again, the timeline he gave, you can kind of, okay, it was good early and then it wasn't good because of a glut, and then now things are picking back up again. You kind of got to let the harvest go through the entire cycle before you really can start to make judgments on it. And that's something I've learned over the years. But we will continue to follow it, obviously. And hopefully the prices do hold up, and they do have a good year on this, and they're able to get by the input costs. But we're done. I'm out of time. For Cameron Eisenberg producing, I'm Mark Bailey. Have a good day. Talk to you again on Wednesday.
Mid-Columbia Today Show is a public affairs presentation of Bicoastal Media Columbia River. The views expressed on the program are not necessarily those of the station, parent company, or of the sponsors. We welcome your suggestions for future shows. Call us at 541-386-1511. Listen to Mid-Columbia Today where you want. Follow or subscribe to Mid-Columbia Today wherever you download your podcast to get the show delivered every day to your mobile device.